So I woke up feeling shitty and haven't really done much besides just stuff I need to do. Like I did brush my teeth and all that. And then barely keeping up on my eating schedule. But I don't know. I just had to remember to embrace myself at every part, like even days when I wake up and I just feel, real shitty about stuff, and just that's okay, just embrace that. If you have to do what you need to do to get yourself through the day, then that's fine. It's part of the human experience. Why am I crying on camera? Hmm. I've just been trying to come to terms with the fact of like seeing grief as in a different light, because I know grief never goes away. I I mean, have you ever lived forever? No, I haven't. But I truly, that's what I'm beginning to understand after talking with lots of people who are older than me. This is my great random sample, but I don't know. They don't have to be just like old people. It's just when I try to make sure that when I'm in situations, yeah, this with people who are older than me, that I don't take it for granted, and I hear what their life was, because they've learned a whole bunch of lessons, and it sounds so like philosophical or whatever, or just shit that they've been through, that you don't have to even try to make it like hers to theorize that there was a lesson to it because it was so terrible, just really a lesson. Did you have to do that, but just trying to look at it from a different viewpoint, that this was the analogy. Okay, so I in my head it's like a basket of yarn rolls or yarn balls or whatever, and all of the human emotions are in there, and for the most part they're pretty balanced, like the top of the bell curve, as far as like the amount that's in there. And then suddenly when you experience something, the emotions attached to that one grow, and so those yarn balls become bigger. This is a magical analogy of yarn balls. Stick with me. and and so when something that we perceive as negative or bad happens, and in our like ball of grief, our grief yarn ball grows to such a huge extent, um, and per se is the grief one, and I don't think you can get rid of that. I don't think, because you can't get rid of things that are a part of you that you've gone through. Like you you go. I mean, I do think you go through different feelings about it, but and you anyway, I don't want to try to make the analogy any more far-fetched or any more specific, but what do you do? What is a way, if you looked at this scenario, how could you make it so that when you looked at that basket you weren't so overtaken by the largeness of this huge grief ball? Like, well, really all I can look at is this huge one, because it's so big now, and all the other ones look so small, even though they're still the same size as they were before. As you get used to the size of your grief ball, you're like, oh, I still have happiness and I still have other things. But it's just that this grief ball is so fucking huge. Well, I think one thing that happens that you can choose to do, I don't know. I don't know how to word it yet, but I think the next step is that, I don't know if you do it by choice or whether, I haven't really explored that yet, but I think the next step is just growing. One way to balance it is to grow all the other balls. Grow the other balls, okay? Um, and you can also think of that if you think of like life balances and life goes in cycles. That like that it takes great pain to show so that you can understand great happiness or whatever it is you philosophically believe. But it would also apply to this. That would be one way to balance the scales. And it just makes sense too, like people who are able to feel who report being able to feel emotions more deeply than others, or whatever you call it, like for whatever reason. It's just that, like, I always think that when I live, it's just on a bigger pendulum. It's so my realm of existence. If you think of this as the realm of existence, and you go this way or this way with each little experience, and your ball gets more complicated. Well, mine, I think, goes further out and further down and further away. So my realm of possible experience is greater. That's I don't know. That was just a visual explanation of me working out myself at some point. Vulnerability. So let's move on. The yarn balls. So yeah, that's how I think you can balance it, or that life naturally balances it. I don't know. Let me know if you have theories on the yarn ball theory. But anyway, so that all the other balls eventually can grow. And what that means is that you have more yarn to access. You can make more beautiful and bigger blankets or whatever the fuck. Am I a yarner? I have yarned at different periods, but once I make a giant thing, I'm like, okay, I did it, and it's just like I don't want to do it all over again. It's just like I just did that project. I just did this lesson, and so I make like something like once every 10 years. I don't know, 5 years. Okay, I don't know why I made this video. I forget. Goodbye.